Who doesn't love a good story, especially stories about real people who've done some really incredible things? They may have been the hero or the villain. They may have made discoveries that changed the world, or discovered something amazing within themselves. Have a listen to this installment of the Everyone Has a Story podcast. This is episode number 6, The Survivor. Commando turned nanny. Not your typical career path. There's some humorous irony about a tough British paratrooper taking a job as a nanny. Makes me think of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie Kindergarten Cop. But that's what happened. After a stint in the Army, where he jumped out of airplanes and transported prisoners on ships, Mark moved to Los Angeles and found himself working as a nanny for the children of a wealthy couple. He preferred to think of it as being a nanny/bodyguard. Mark believed he was particularly qualified, given his military experience. After all, just like in the Army, he would always be on duty, and looking after a couple of kids had to be easier than handling prisoners. During the interview, he had assured the family that his time in the military also made him the best candidate to do the washing and cleaning. Mark later admitted, "I was so bad at cleaning that they ended up hiring a lady to clean the house, including my room." While being a nanny was its own terrific adventure, Mark eventually needed to move on. He spent a few boring years as an insurance salesman, but somewhere within his paratrooper soul was the beating heart of an adventurer. Now, Mark stood on the precipice of a 300-mile quest, gently patting his horse. Far from the fresh grass smell of manicured lawns and the warm aromas of morning coffee that were part of life in the City of Angels, the unforgiving Omani landscape was filled with intense heat, a heat that would sear the hairs right out of a man's nostrils. The horses stomped with impatience as Mark and his team of 3 men and 1 woman climbed onto their saddles, ready to make their mark on history as the first American team to face the toughest race in the world, the Red Gaulois. Furious gallops, hooves thundered across the land as the heated air whipped past beast and rider. Their horses came to a halt at the base of a sheer wall of rock that loomed like an impenetrable fortress. Every muscle in their bodies strained as the team grasped for tiny foot and handholds, hauling themselves up the vertical mountain face. Next, they entered the ocean on kayaks that rocked wildly through the tempest of storm and sea, the paddlers' faces stung by salt water and driving rain. The challenge would defeat some, Mark's own teammates included. Whether he was in his right mind or not, there was only one thing on it: accomplishing his mission. Team unity had dissolved under the crushing conditions, and morale plummeted when the team of Americans for which he'd worked so hard to procure a spot in the race finished a dismal 39th out of 51. But Mark liked to meet his challenges head on. He would race again, and he would do it better. After the previous team had broken apart under some of the most intense conditions imaginable, how could he face the impossible yet again? When things seem impossible and all seems lost, it never really is if you work together, Mark said. This is what the race taught him, that teamwork is key to overcoming the seemingly impossible. Only one of his former teammates was bold enough to join him again as he gathered a new team for another grueling race. She, along with 3 United States Navy SEALs, completed the team. This time, they would race through the thick forests of Madagascar. As they parachuted into the dense jungle, the hot, humid air and the smell of damp earth greeted their senses. Descending lower, they were swallowed up in a canopy of foliage, enveloped by the dark forest. Madagascar greeted the teams with the severest of hospitality. Raging storms lashed the contenders, and 120-degree temperatures threatened to melt the skin off their bodies. Mark and his team navigated the tropical forest, scaled rocky peaks, silently paddled through rivers teeming with stealthy crocodiles, and kayaked an unforgiving sea, this time finishing 9th. The question on everyone's mind: why would he do this, and twice at that? How could you possibly organize an event and television production around an event if you've never done it? This was his reply: "I'm a method producer, like a method actor." Mark had competed in the toughest race in the world so that he could develop and bring his own impossible race to an American audience. He called it the Eco Challenge. and it was so successful that it later spawned a better-known reality show called Survivor. That led to others, The Apprentice and Shark Tank. You know Mark as the king of reality TV. Mark Burnett lived it, loved it, and produced it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you make modern history. That's his story. Glad you took the time to listen. Wouldn't want you to miss out on a good story. Whether you're entertained or maybe even learned a little something, it's great. Either way, it's even greater when you share these stories with friends and family, especially your kids. If you like the story, don't be shy. Let me know. You can give it a thumbs up on YouTube, iTunes, or wherever you listen. Add it to your favorites so you can get the newest episodes right when they're released. You're listening to the Everyone Has a Story podcast, a production of realmedia.us. I'm Rodney Powell. Maybe you feel like you have a story to tell for your business, but don't exactly have the right voice to tell it. Let me help you with that. Professional voiceover can bring your story to life and have everyone listening carefully to every word. Feel free to contact me if you want to know more. In the meantime, we'll meet right back here for our next episode, because everyone has a story.